At an epic runtime of 3 hours and 29 minutes, The Irishman, a stately and ominous depiction of the criminal underground, has been well received by viewers worldwide. However, one lingering question remains after witnessing the magnificent masterpiece. How did the Netflix true story about Jimmy Hoffa come about? To start with, it's no secret Frank Sheeran, who worked with Jimmy Hoffa and was known as the Irishman, is said to have told Charles Brandt his story right before he died of cancer. Brandt wrote about it in his nonfiction book, I've Heard You Ping Houses, which came out in 2004. Martin Scorsese's Italian mobster movie, The Irishman, was based on the best-selling book of the same name. Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro, who played Frank Sheeran, have said that the film isn't an accurate picture of the Irishman, but rather a character they made up together. According to the Netflix movie The Irishman, Jimmy Hoffa was born in Brazil, Indiana, in 1913, the son of a poor coal miner. As a young man, he was a natural leader, despite his humble beginnings. He helped organize a Detroit labor strike when he was 20 and remained a lifelong advocate for oppressed workers. Since its previous leader was imprisoned for bribery in 1957, Hoffa had served as president of the Teamsters. As it appears, the Teamsters Union was immensely corrupted during the 20th century.
Corruption.
Jimmy's tireless efforts to expand union membership and his unwavering loyalty to even the organization's most marginalized members were lauded during his time as chief. However, his influence required rather violent people to operate. These affiliations would eventually be his undoing, leading to the loss of his position as head of the Teamsters. We'll talk about how that unfolded very soon, so stay tuned. At the time, Hoffa had strong ties to organized crime, including the Bufalino crime family, with Russell Bufalino's cousin Bill acting as his lawyer as head of the Teamsters. The Irishman claims that Russell Bufalino introduced him and Jimmy while he was president of the Teamsters, and they became close friends after that. Assaults and assassinations of union members or rival union members would appear to be Hoffa's means of enforcing his policies and plans. Although the law began to pursue the Teamsters icon, he was able to avoid prosecution until the 1960s. It wasn't until 1964 that Hoffa was finally sentenced to 8 years in prison for bribing a grand juror and another 5 years for mail fraud. Even still, this was not the end for Hoffa. Continue to follow along as we recount how Jimmy made a comeback from prison and his efforts to regain his lost position. Now from the Irishman scenes, Fitzsimmons became the acting president of the Teamsters while Hoffa was in prison. Fitzsimmons soon excluded Hoffa from controlling the union, and Hoffa was expelled from leadership roles. President Nixon commuted Hoffa's sentence to time served in 1971, and he collected a $1.7 million Teamsters pension. Nixon won the 1972 presidential election with the Teamsters' support, but Nixon also forbade Hoffa from participating in union business. Despite Hoffa's best efforts, the ruling stood. Meanwhile, Anthony "Tony Pro" Provenzano, a New Jersey Teamster leader and member of the Genovese crime family, refused to help Hoffa and threatened him and his family with violence when Hoffa approached him for help in regaining control of the union. After that, rumors surfaced that Hoffa was aiding legal actions against the mob as a form of revenge. That was quite ballsy of him. But as the saying goes, snitches get stitches. Do you think this had something to do with his disappearance, or do you perhaps have different speculation? Please share with us in the comments section below. Following this, mafia boss Anthony Giacalone and his brother Vito reportedly tried to mediate peace between Hoffa and Provenzano, as depicted in the Italian mobster movie. Still, the idea of a meeting between them left Hoffa and his family uneasy. Hoffa went for a meeting with Provenzano and Giacalone at the Match's Red Fox restaurant on July 30, 1975, but never returned. Several eyewitnesses and phone calls claim that Hoffa was enraged after the pair at the restaurant showed up over an hour and a half late for the meeting and ignored his requests for a meeting. The next day, the Hoffa family went to the restaurant and found his unlocked car parked there, with no sign of where he had gone. Hoffa was declared legally dead on July 30, 1982. Later, the Irishman confessed to killing Hoffa, according to Charles Brandt's book, Ivor Du Pain Houses, 2004. As seen from the Irishman scenes, Chucky O'Brien drove Sheeran, Hoffa, and fellow gangster Salvatore Brigaglio to a Metro Detroit residence. O'Brien and Brigaglio left in their vehicle, and Sheeran and Hoffa entered the house, where Sheeran claims to the back of the head. According to the Irishman, Hoffa was cremated following his murder. Sheeran also admitted to reporters that he killed both Hoffa and Joseph Gallo. Bill tonally disputes the book's veracity in his article, The Lies of the Irishman for Slate, as does Harvard Law School professor Jack Goldsmith in Jimmy Hoffa and the Irishman, a true crime story. Goldsmith commented, "Several people have confessed to the crime. There are all sorts of theories about it. The FBI has dug up various places over a dozen times looking for his body," discrediting Sheeran's account in the New York Review of Books. Sheeran's alleged involvement in the murder of Hoffa has been investigated by the FBI, which has used the most up-to-date forensic equipment to assess the evidence that could link him to the crime. The FBI searched Sheeran's Detroit home and blood stains were discovered, but DNA testing revealed that they were unrelated to Hoffa's. Regarding how the Netflix true story of Jimmy Hoffa came about, the account is documented by Charles Brandt based on Frank Sheeran's, The Irishman, testimonies. However, the authenticity of the story remains vague. If you liked the video, please share this video with other true crime lovers. See you soon in the following video.